Good evening, friends, and welcome to Daytona International Speedway, the world center of racing. For a brand new league, we'd like to welcome the Hoosier Racing League into its existence. 4 different cars in 12 races this season, and we begin the year at the world center of racing at the Daytona International Speedway. Happy to have you alongside with us for the ride as the journey begins here. Marty Sakala with you on the call here on Twitch.tv. Well, this is a brand new league, I should say. It's been happening for a couple of seasons, but a brand new series called the Hoosier Racing League. How does it work? Well, I'm glad you asked. Well, it is a series that rotates with different cars throughout the season as qualifying has officially finished up. We have 12 races, and the schedule will rotate throughout the year. How the season works, of course, we're at Daytona with the Next Gen. Next week, we go to Atlanta with the Gen 6, and then on April 24th is the Xfinity cars at Dover, and then May 1st, the iRacing Super Speedway with Next Gen. And then it rotates through once again. Charlotte Auto Club, Richmond, and Nashville Super Speedway from Next Gen to Trucks, and then Darlington, Chicagoland, Kansas, and Homestead. Next Gen to Trucks. No playoffs. Who's the best that can do it? Who can win the championship? We're about to find out. First, ladies and gentlemen, let's meet the field we've got for tonight on the entry list. Ryan Douglas and Justin Branham make up the front row in the 9 and the 16. Douglas's quick time of 50.651. Row number 2, Jeff Crosby Jr. in the 33 and Jordan Stencil in the 83. Row 3, Mark Jackson in the 1 and Pat Hernandez in the number 19. In row number 4, Chris Davis in the 29 and Matt Pelletier in car 27. Rounding out the top 10, Alec Beaudoin in the 95 and Jeff Crosby Sr. in the 15. Row 6, Alan Martin driving the 05 and Justin Phipps in the 89. As we look to the final 6 drivers on the grid, Riley Lambert in the 50 in row 6. Next to him is Shane Davis. Row number 8 is Jamie Abreu in the 20 and Joe Letourneau in the 22. Rounding out the grid for tonight, Casey Duncan in the 11 and Stephen Wolfram in the 52. So the field rolls off as we get set to go for a brand new era here in the Hoosier Racing League. A couple of drivers from Indianapolis making up the name the Hoosier Racing League, not based off of the Hoosier Racing Tire, even though it does have the Hoosier colors and the same font. But this series is not sponsored or endorsed by Hoosier in any way. Just a disclaimer there. 100 laps around the world center of racing tonight, so set for 250 miles. No stages in the 2.5-mile super speedway. 31 degrees of banking in the turns, seating 101,000. Here's your weather report as we get set to go racing. We've got a 71-degree skies here at Daytona International Speedway on iRacing Day at 10 p.m. Eastern Time at Daytona. Track temp is 72 degrees. If you remember how the Next Gens raced in the Daytona 500, expect a lot of 2x2 action. However, though, you got to make sure you have a partner. If you're by yourself, you likely will be fading back. Could tandem drafting be a factor? About to find out. Off at turn number 4, a brand new era for the Hoosier Racing League. A rotating schedule, multiple cars racing this season. And on the front row, Ryan Douglas and Justin Branham ready to chow things down and kick things off. Where else would you rather be than right here, right now? It is showtime at Daytona. Two by two in turn 1, and the low line's got the advantage early. It's Ryan Douglas in the number 9 taking the lead early. Again, low line working here. You got Jeffrey Crosby Jr. driving the 33, making a nice push to the 9 off of turn number 2. Patrick Hernandez leaned that high side alongside Alec Bowdoin along with a bunch of other cars as they come off of turn 4. Lap 1 about to be put in the books. And the first lap in the Hoosier Racing League is led by Ryan Douglas. He gets a bonus point towards the championship. And then once we get to the most lap slide, they will get 5 bonus points. Douglas, by the way, starting from pole position, he'll get 2 bonus points for that. Single file racing early here amongst the top 4 drivers. Chris Davis, Matt Pelletier, Alec Bowdoin off to some great starts. Already up 3 positions from where they started in the race. You see Matt Pelletier starting to fade back on the high side, along with Justin Branham and Jordan Stenso, the latter switching lanes down to the bottom of the track. Top 4 running nose to tail while they're double file behind them. Again, 100 laps here around Daytona with no stages. A lot of time. We could see a lot of drivers possibly deciding to hang out in the back for this race and make their way up towards the front when the time is right. For example, Joe Letourneau, who was in one of the test races last week with the Hoosier Racing League. Alongside perhaps Jamie Abro or Casey Duncan. They could be drivers to watch out for in the future. Douglas getting that nice push from Jeffrey Crosby Jr. early on. It's still Pelletier on the outside line trying to get something going. This is a fixed series, so all the drivers will have the same setups along with the fuel capacity and sets of tires. Window here at Daytona, normally about 35 to 40, but sometimes 45 laps, so this will be a two-stop race. 3 wide already happening behind them. That one driver that's fading back is the 95 of Bowdoin, who tried to make a move up on that outside a couple of moments ago, but has lost a lot of time early here in his Shelby Ford Mustang. Perhaps trying to see if he could go to the front early, but decided to fade it back. Meanwhile, a lot of single file racing from here all the way back to the 19 of Patrick Hernandez. You could even count as well the 05 of Alan Martin in that. Matt Pelletier tries to create a second groove up on the high side. He'll pick up 2, sometimes maybe 3 spots, but once he gets into the corners, he will start to lose a lot. Of course, you want to be going the shortest way around the World Center of Racing at Daytona. A lot of incredible schemes, a lot of alcoholic schemes you see here in the field. Jeff Crosby Sr. with the Felix Sabat's Sterling Marlin Coors Light throwback in the number 15. Also saw a Budweiser car. Man, that got close for Shane Davis, by the way, in the number 30, who's fading back and was trying to get a run here on the outside, but doesn't have too much of a toe. He'll shift down to the bottom. Show you the onboard here. 5 gears he's going. Top speed of 188 miles an hour. Here you see the high side. Justin Branham working on it up top, and in front of him is Pelletier, who just wanted to go up onto that outside lane. Up alongside the 4th car in that single file line, which is Davis in the Chevy. In fact, the top 6, all Chevy Camaros at the moment. Nobody in a huge risk to create that 3rd lane. Of course, Bowdoin was the first driver all the way up on the outside next to the safety barrier, but did not work out. Listening into the drivers' meeting, by the way, Matt Pelletier, the driver of that Liquid Death 27, informed everyone, hey, this is just the start of a new series. We're going to make mistakes, that's for sure. But however many mistakes, let's improve on it from there on out. Right on board, you see the side-by-side racing with him and Crosby has allowed the front 4 to pull away once again as they got that single file line working. See Crosby Jr. all the way up on Ryan Douglas as you ride on board from Douglas's rear end. Bump drafting can play such a huge factor, especially in the final laps, but you got to be very careful about how you bump draft. It's not like the Gen 6 cars that we saw last year in NASCAR, and we'll see them next week at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. You got to make sure you're lining up perfectly. So, for example, when you ride on board with Jeffrey Crosby, you can see that's in the center of the car. He's got to make sure he's lined up to that center of the bar perfectly. But when he's riding out of the visor, he's got to make sure he's lined up with the seat as much as he can. If not properly, the driver in front can get wobbly big time and can lead to big trouble perhaps. Second line starting to get some more drivers up in it. You see the 29s up in there and Chris Davis, followed by Pelletier, Branham in the 16, along with Shane Davis in the number 30. Oh, trouble. Oh, boy. That got oh so close. They're stacking up from behind. Justin Branham and Pat Hernandez made contact. But incredible save by the drivers. You got one below the line. That's Alan Martin. He'll merge up properly. But that almost got disastrous. We almost had our first big wreck of the afternoon, excuse me, of the evening on lap number 9. And that has allowed a huge breakaway amongst the drivers, specifically top 7 on track. Matt Pelletier trying to create a second group. Drivers are working on the 52 of Stephen Wolfram. He decided to start his Toyota from pit lane and wait a couple of seconds. Not too sure about that decision. But of course, should he get a caution flag, he'll get back on the lead lap with the lucky dog. See Crosby again all over Douglas as you again continue to ride on board. See how the bump drafting is working a little bit. Perhaps maybe a little risky to be bump drafting early here at the World Center of Racing. Now with Stephen Wolfram tucked in between the first and the second pack, could this perhaps lead to the packs to be merged together? I am not too sure about that question, but when you think of it as well, if we could see the drivers merging back together, you've got the front 7 drivers here, and then you've got 6 drivers in this pack right here. So that may not be good for the drivers in this second pack. And then you've got a third pack that's being led by Justin Branham, Riley Lambert, who are just trying to work together at the moment. This is not working out for the drivers in the second and third pack. This is what the top 7 wants to see. They're considered that Peloton pack at the moment, and right now starting to pull away at the moment. Why don't we compare the laps from 7th to 8th place at the moment? And then you can see the difference. Last time by, Hernandez, who was leading that second train, and they're kind of getting a little bit racy and a little aggressive where we're nearly seeing some bump drafting. The fact that they're racing each other double file, they're just losing a lot of time to the top 7. 4 seconds behind the field in front. And they're going 3 wide. Jamie Abreu wasting no time. He wants to be the leader of this pack and try and propel the field to the front. And I'm not too sure why they're trying to go double file on lap 13 when they're in a situation where, you know, they're not even battling for the lead at the moment. Joe Letourneau getting caught up there in no man's land all by himself. Find a hole right in front of Wolfram. But still continues to be Ryan Douglas leading the field, followed by Jeff Crosby Jr., Mark Jackson, Crosby Sr., Jordan Stenzel, Chris Davis, and Matt Pelletier, the top 7 at the moment. Let's try listening to some in-car radio. Well, it looks like we have nothing happening at the moment. If you watch the Daytona 500 earlier this February, you would understand that there was and completely different racing, by the way. Of course, they had stages. We do not. Of course, that the drivers were just trying to work together until the final laps of the stages. And because they were all just trying to stay single file and just work together, that's how Brad Keselowski, for example, was able to lead the most laps in the Great American Race. Let's go back to that second pack, which they have been able to make amends and go single file. However, though, that is a pack of 7 as well. Of course, 6 drivers on the lead lap. That's Stephen Wolfram riding the caboose of this train. And then it's Riley Lambert, Justin Branham, then Alan Martin all by himself. Alec Baudoin has fallen off of the pack, so not what Martin and Baudoin wanted to see. No change amongst the field in the past couple of laps or so. You see Matt Pelletier trying to see if he can get somebody to tangle with and make his way up to the race late, but honestly, I don't really see how that's going to be possible at all. Again, while we're at it, let's talk about some of the drivers here at the moment. Take you through the field. There you see your race leader, of course, is Ryan Douglas in the number 9, who loves to have fun. Based out of Wilmington, North Carolina, getting a nice push from Jeff Crosby Jr. in second. Evans Sr. out of the Indianapolis, Indiana area. So they love to, I'm assuming they'd love to go the Indy 500 all season long. Now we're starting to see second groove possibly be in development. Chris Davis has decided it's time to work with Matt Pelletier and see if he can make his way up to the front. We're starting to see a little bit of side drafting amongst the drivers here. Now, what could this possibly do with that second pack who's 8 seconds behind? We're not too sure, but now this is leading to a 3-car breakaway amongst Douglas, Crosby Jr., and Jackson. So it seems like at this point, nobody wants to get into a double file situation unless it's with a majority of the pack. If you're in the minority of things, you're going to lose a lot of time. But they've been able to merge back together, and now Davis and Pelletier have a run, trying to side draft whatever they can do to get past Crosby for the 4th position on track. Again, Ryan Douglas, who has led all 17 laps so far in this race, continues to lead the way out and out towards the front. Jeff Crosby Jr. out of the Indianapolis. Oh, radio.
I'm going high.
As the drivers are approaching Alec.
Below. Thank you, sir.
They're approaching Alec Baudoin in the 95, who simply goes to the apron. You know, ever since that first scrimmage went down between Patrick Hernandez and Justin Branham, the 95 went below the yellow line and just has not been able to recuperate from that. He was a part of that pack until that it split up into twos with that incredible save. But now he's just lost a ton of time in his Ford Mustang. As I was saying, the Crosbys, both from the Indianapolis area. Junior is a big fan of Dale Jr. and Harry Gant. Loves to drink and golf. Notre Dame fan, of course, the Indianapolis Colts and Pacers. Got to be an Indiana Hoosier because of that. So it's ironic that Junior is a fan of the older drivers, but Senior over here, currently in 4th position, is a big Chase Briscoe fan, of course. Briscoe also a fellow Hoosier driver, coming off of his win at Phoenix Raceway. Loves Jim Beam and iRacing, and unfortunately his favorite sports team is the Colts. Hey, Hey, Crosby Sr., at least you beat my Buffalo Bills, okay? Thanks to Johnny Taylor. Continue to look throughout the field and meet a lot of the drivers. Let's talk about the man that I want to give a shout out to for bringing me into this series and reaching out for a broadcast. That's Riley Lambert in the number 50 Ford Mustang out of the Winston-Salem, North Carolina area. He's being patient at the moment, currently running in 14th, working with Justin Branham. Matt Pelletier. And of course, if you do follow the channel a lot, you'll understand that he is also a driver in the XCal Racing $5 Tuesday Street Stock Series, the premier Street Stock Series in iRacing, currently running in 6th position. 24-year-old Fort Bragg, North Carolina resident, an active duty Army paratrooper, so we thank him for his service. And a big fan of the hack, Alex Bowman, has the Liquid Death car set up for him this weekend. Another driver in this pack, the 83 of Jordan Stenzel. Now, look at that car number. Been a while since I think anyone's seen that. That is the Red Bull colors. The Team Red Bull driver team when they were in the NASCAR Cup Series from 2007 to 2011, but boy, we miss them.
Tell me I got about 7 laps.
Listen to that. We're hearing drivers are about to pit.
Yeah, I got a feeling us 4 will be pitting together.
In just a matter of moments. So see what happens then. If drivers are going to pit around lap 30 or so, we're going to see the drivers on a 3-stop race from the looks of it. Driver that's not really liking this at the moment is Ryan Douglas, who has led all the laps so far and using all of his gas at the moment by going full throttle. As for everybody else here in this field, they can let off the gas and just save bits of fuel increments at a time, as you see Stenzel moving up to the outside.
What do you guys want me, high or low?
High, please. High, please.
Working on Alan Martin now in the 05. Stenzel, the only driver out of Canada from the Newcastle, Ontario area. Only Canadian in this race, I should say. Big fan of the Toronto Blue Jays. Of course, I'm looking forward to how they're doing this, how they do this season, as well as the Detroit Red Wings. Big Call of Duty fan as well. Haven't seen a pass really in just a little while until there when Chris Davis as well as Matt Pelletier got by Jordan Stenzel. So again, expecting the leaders to pit at any moment. We'll show you those pit stops as they happen. More of the drivers here let's talk about at the moment. Let's go to Patrick Hernandez in the number 19, 31 years old, out of the Fort Worth, Texas area. Martin Truex Jr. fan and loves to play Call of Duty as well. Seems like all the drivers' hobbies are either sim racing or Call of Duty. Hey, that was me when I was a kid too, so I don't blame him. Branham.
The next one.
So we came in.
What'd you say, 16?
You want to pit this lap or next one?
Drivers are communicating about pitting.
Nine pitting this time.
And here we go for pit stops shortly.
Gotcha, bub. Gotcha.
So we will have a 3-stop race. And we'll see the leaders
Second
come
lap
in.
has about 3 laps left of fuel where you guys sitting.
I don't know. I'm going with the group.
Pitting this
So here
time,
we go.
15.
Now we'll see here if we do have any wrecks coming into pit road. That's the top three coming. Look out, Senior. And he'll be called for speeding on pit road because of that.
Sorry, guys. I came in hot. I just got a black flag.
Yep, there it is. Way over the limit for Jeff Crosby Sr.
Number 1 and 27 are pitting this lap. 1 and 27.
So we're hearing as well that Jackson Pelletier will come in this time by.
29's also pitting this lap.
Let's watch the pit stops here of Douglas and
Give each other some room
Junior.
here, guys. Let's not shit on each other trying to get in pit road either.
quick stops, of course, for Junior and Douglas. 12-12 and 11.97. I would assume those are 2-tire pit stops from what went down. Not they were 4-tire stops. And now another threesome coming. In fact, a foursome come in. Mark Jackson, Matt Pelletier, and Chris Davis. And now this is going to leave Jordan Stencil the odd man out because he's pitting all alone, and even worse, he'll have no help. So he goes likely to the second pack or so. Pull up the team map as well to see where your favorite drivers are on the track. Jackson coming out with an 11.87. Comes out in front of Pelletier and Davis. Hernandez, Phipps, Davis, Abro, and Letourneau also in. There goes Junior by. There goes Hernandez, who was in that second pack at the time of pit stops. Getting back on track, and now we see the race leader coming to pit road again all by himself. Absolutely gut-wrenching for Jordan Stencil, not the start that he wants. Casey Duncan, who if he stayed out would have been the race leader, will make his way into pit road this time, and there he goes. Leaders are in 3 and 4. It's Mark Jackson, Matt Pelletier, who had the best pit stop of all the drivers, merging out in front of Jeff Crosby Jr. No sign of Ryan Douglas. He gets shuffled all the way back all by himself. And it's likely because he had a much slower pit stop.
Advantage.
So now we see double file racing. Jeff Crosby looking for the race lead, but he has no help. So that shuffles him back to third position as Pelletier gives Jackson the push. One driver, by the way, that's yet to pit, that's Shane Davis in the 30. Who's in a situation trying to stretch it out, but we should expect him in pit road at any moment. In fact, he actually did come into pit road, but I think he missed his box. Because on our end, it says that he is yet to pit. So we should expect him any moment. Here's Douglas.
Okay, man.
So it's the top three that are pulled away all by themselves. Ryan Douglas, while we're at it, amongst the front of the field, was the slowest on everyone that was on pit road. Not by pit stop, on pit road. Let's show you the pit stop strategy from our first stop we had. There you see the pit stop time amongst the leaders and amongst the fastest of drivers. You see an 11.8 second stop by Hernandez. He wasn't a part of the lead pack. It was Mark Jackson with an 11.9. Started in 5th. He is up to 1st. And then as we move over to the pit lane time, quickest on pit road, as you can see, there was a couple of 38.8s, but there was a 38.0 set by Hernandez, a 38.1 by Duncan. Jackson, Pelletier, and Crosby Jr. in the 38.8 marks. So now drivers all around the pack at the moment. We'll show you the track map here once again. There's the top three all together. Stenzel's been able to merge with Chris Davis and Ryan Douglas. So actually gained positions on pit road in that last stint, currently in the 4 through 6 area. Those wondering where Jeff Crosby Sr. is, he is with Justin Branham and Riley Lambert after his pit road penalty. Having to pass through pit road for speed on entry. You could tell he came in way too hot because of that. Then you got a foursome with Jamie Abreu, Joe Letourneau, Pat Hernandez, and Casey Duncan. Again, Shane Davis yet to pit, and Justin Phipps on his tail, along with Alan Martin. That's where all the drivers are currently on the racetrack. Let's meet more of the drivers here, shall we? You've got Alan Martin, by the way, driving in the number 05 machine, 40-year-old, based out of Danbury, Connecticut. Chase Elliott fanboy, loves to coach fast-pitch softball with his daughters. Big football fan and iRacing fan, loves the 49ers. Who knows what's going to happen with Jimmy Garoppolo. Alec Beaudoin in the number 94, 24 years old, out of Nevada. He's a part-time racer for a living. Shane Davis in the number 30, out of Missouri, 31 years old. And then finally got Jamie Abreu in the number 20, 33 years old, out of Portage, Pennsylvania, working on a driver ahead. I think, is that Douglas? It is. Who has lost the pack. And look at this. Battle for the lead starting to heat up. We've got a 6-pack car pack now. Mark Jackson facing a challenge. Jordan Stenzel's got to run up top. But they're losing the pack as of right now, that's for sure. Oh, look out! That's Crosby Jr. who's loose. Can he save it? Keeps it off the wall. And this may bring our first yellow out of the evening. What a save from Crosby Jr. No caution, will stay under the green flag. So Crosby Jr. speeds, Crosby Sr. speeds, Crosby Jr. loses it. We'll take a look at our replay. We'll have to rewind it for you, though, unfortunately. Because the replay came in like, oh, it just came right there in the nick of time. As he got oh so loose, but made a fantastic save out of that. Let's see if an aerial shot gives us a better view. He just lost it all by himself. The rear end. The rear end's been known at Daytona in general, whenever you go to any NASCAR race in the oval, for really getting light off at turn 4 and just sends that car sideways where you have nothing you can do about it. But Crosby Jr. with some incredible driving, what he does was he didn't lock up the brakes. He kept his foot off of the brakes. Here he is on the radio.
No, not from what I could see. He came up in front of me, and I think it looked like I didn't get an extra hit or anything, so I thought I left you lots of space. So, and then it just looks like the nose got taken off the back end of the car, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, it just looked like he lost it coming off the corner. Yeah, he didn't touch me either, so I don't know.
Yeah, Field is talking about.
Lost for words, guys. I have no idea.
Yeah, he's speechless. But the best part was, while he was driving, was the fact that he didn't use the brakes coming off at turn 4, because if it does, that's pretty much a lockup, and he's going right into the wall. You can't control the car to the right. What he did was he's got loose, kept his foot off the brake, kept it off the gas, just wheeled it to the right, and was able to get that car the opposite way and make a great save out of it. So after being inside the top 7, Crosby Jr. is 12th, and it's about to see Crosby Sr. shortly. And the leaders are right behind them at the moment, with Jackson, Pelletier, and Davis and Stenzel working together. Do have another car in that pack as well. That's Alan Martin in the Hooters 05 car. So we'll see how the drivers deal with the traffic, where the lap down cars go. At the same time as well, they are also battling for a free pass spot as Wolfram now goes 2 laps down at the moment. He'll stay put on the bottom, and there's the bump draft that Pelletier gives Jackson. Oh, look out, Davis is loose. Great save out of it, but now he's stuck in a sucker hole, going 3 wide, nearly makes contact with Stencil. And this is where the top 2 want to be right now, Pelletier and Jackson, because they get a big gap on Davis and Stencil, who are side by side for 3rd. But folks, this may not end well. This is far from over. They are stuck in the lap traffic with Senior and Branham next to each other. The big question is, how is this going to play out, and does this bring in the rest of the field is the question now. You see Martin switching sides, and the lead lap drivers probably getting frustrated. Let's listen in. That's Pelletier. Stencil and Davis probably already, if I were to guess, they probably likely already said their choice awards. And are losing time, 3/4 of a second. If they can just come down right here. Davis could come down, but I'm not sure if he brings Stencil down. There's only one room for a car, and I think Davis is going to take it right here. No, he doesn't. Stays up with Stencil. Almost comes down. He wants to get this line up, which completely baffles me. I don't know if, just looking here, Davis and Stencil are not teammates. However, though, they just want to find enough space to get up to the leaders and get by. That's the 50 of Riley Lambert. And if Stencil gets by with the help from the 16 of Justin Branham, they'll be able to cut their way down low and work with the top 4. Let's see if Davis does it here. Stencil trying to side draft. They may go for the lead here. And they're going to go for it. Battle for seconds on. Stencil decides to drop to the bottom and screw out Chris Davis in this, who's in the sucker hole. But we'll see what happens with Brenham in the 16 as well as Martin in the 05. If they can find their way up towards the front with the draft, and now Davis gets room. Lambert lets him go, and the top 4 back to being nose to tail. Let's update you on our second pack that's being led by Jamie Abreu along with Joe Letourneau, Pat Hernandez, Casey Duncan, and Ryan Douglas. Been a quiet day, obviously, so far. Currently running in the 5th through 9th positions. Remember, Douglas led the first 26 laps or so, and he then fell back big time because of the pit stops, having one of the slower pit road times at 42 seconds amongst the leaders. If I'm taking this look correctly, that's like that's inside the top 5 of the slowest on track. Luckily for him, though, he's got his teammate in front of him, Casey Duncan. Here, okay. Are you ready for this? Here's what I don't get. And I'm going to load this up right now, just so I can make sure I've got this correct. And the fact is that NASCAR has the weirdest sponsorship model. Or I should say, the Hoosier Racing League has the weirdest sponsorship model. Doesn't make any sense economically for 2 teammates to have the same car with the same sponsor and 2 different manufacturers. This isn't Formula One. Sorry, Casey and Ryan, I just had to go there. Jeff Crosby Jr. and Stephen Wetton got reports they just went into pit lane, and I think they got loosey-goosey. Let's take a look at a replay. Going below the double yellow line. And remember, these drivers are lap cars, so I think they were just trying to let the leaders go by, which you can absolutely do going below the apron. The out of bounds rule, by the way, in effect. You cannot advance your position below the double yellow line. If you do, you have to give it back. However, though, if you force somebody below the double yellow line, you may get a black flag. Leaders, by the way, just put Shane Davis in the pink number 30 car a lap down. He's the first car a lap down. So we've got two different situations here. You've got the battle for the lead with the top 4 drivers, the top 3 all on the low side, and Chris Davis has been swallowed up between 2 back markers who are battling for the free pass. And that free pass as well is up for grabs at the moment. Jeff Crosby Jr., Shane Davis, and Jeff Crosby Sr. all battling for it, alongside Riley Lambert and Alan Martin. Again, all of them battling to get back on the lead lap. 45 laps are in the books. We are currently caution-free at the moment. Let us know who you're rooting for if you're watching in chat and not a driver. Let us know who you're rooting for. We're glad you could join us here on twitch.tv. Marty Stacalo with you on the call for this one. Part of my production network Slide Job Racing. Mark Jackson has been leading ever since the cycle of pit stops, and we should be expecting drivers to come in at any moment. When they pitted, by the way, and we'll show it to you right now, lap 27 to 28. So we should be expecting them 7 laps for now, as we got a challenge for the race lead. Chris Davis on the outside has company. Pulling up with Pelletier for second position. And again, he's got the help. Let's see what Shane Davis does. We're about to see a bump draft at Daytona. Ooh, almost close there to be an ill-advised bump draft. Wasn't really lined up properly because of that. Doesn't move him up to the lead. Keeps him back to 4th. And he'll have to fall in behind a lap car in Crosby Jr. and split the Crosbys at the moment. So top 3 all continue to lead. This is the Peloton pack officially at the moment. Back on that second pack, which is 19 seconds back. They're liking what they got at the moment. Single file line at the moment. And I'm guessing because the way they've been racing, they don't have to deal with any nonsense. These guys, the leaders, think about trouble. Hey, bro.
Yeah, low line if you don't mind.
And they were talking to the 16 of Justin Brenham.
Thanks, man.
Just having to move out of the way. May decide to merge down with that second pack too, perhaps. Leaders amongst the free pass cars have all gotten back down to a single file situation. We're 49 laps complete here, 48 laps complete here at Daytona. Let's give you this opportunity to turn up that volume. Crank it up. Well, that got close to being disastrous amongst the leaders, and we are under caution. For the first time tonight, Jamie Abreu in the 20 has crashed, a part of that second pack, and we will have pit stops coming up momentarily.
All right, guys, pace car needs to pass.
So we made it through one half of this race caution-free, and we've got our first yellow of the evening. As Abreu has crashed, let's take a look at the replay and show you what happened. I think it was a bump draft that just did not end well from Hernandez. That will put Hernandez to the rear of the field per the rules, as he was the one that did cause the wreck. Here's the cam from our aerial shot. They just hooked. From Abreu's car. There it was right there. Let's try and find Hernandez in this situation. Here we go. Here's Pat Hernandez. Pit road is open. The leaders are all in. And I'll guarantee you no penalties will incur this time. Four tires and feel I would expect from all the drivers at the moment. Mark Jackson wins the race off pit road, followed by Matt Pelletier. We'll see who comes out in third. And that is Jordan Stencil over Chris Davis. That's Ryan Douglas. So Mark Jackson is the leader. We believe the free pass car will be Jeff Crosby Jr. So he'll be able to get his lap back. And so that will leave, to assume, 9 cars on the lead lap. Take a look and see who was the fastest on pit road amongst the top 10. And again, still waiting for the drivers in 8th and 9th to make their pit stops as they're a lap down. We will actually hold on that. 2 drivers will get a wave around and also get back on the lead lap from the looks of it, unless they come in. We'll take a look here as we ride on board with Mark Jackson. So I think only one driver will get away with 2 of them. Riley Lambert's one of them. The other one is Alec Beaudoin. So, we got pit stops finished up here. Fastest on pit road amongst the top 10. As you see, the pit stop time in the first stop. Last pit stops, we had an 11.22 for Mark Jackson, who was the quickest in that time frame of things. And then on the pit lane time, that was from the first stop. On our second stop, and the quickest was Jackson as well with a 37.7, who's been having a great job so far on pit road. We are 1 lap to green. The field is doubled up as we get back for our first restart of the day. The field is all set. Let's reset the field here. The front row is Mark Jackson and Matt Pelletier. Jackson selects the inside line for this restart. Row 2, Jordan Stencil and Chris Davis. The third row loved seeing that caution come out. Ryan Douglas, Joe Letourneau, Casey Duncan. They all get to bunch up with the field once again. Jeff Crosby Jr., Patrick Hernandez, and Riley Lambert all stayed out in that situation. Lambert and Beaudoin are the only drivers that have yet to pit under that cycle, so just a heads up. If you're wondering if your favorite driver has pitted yet or not. First restart of the day coming to 54 laps. That will be complete. Coming to lap 55. Back to green. See Pelletier drops on down, and he does. Ryan Douglas, perhaps with the best restart of all the drivers, makes his way up into 5th.
Back a little bit.
Drivers all just figuring out where to line up on that situation or so. So Jackson comes out with the edge. Now does Ryan Douglas leave his teammate hanging in Casey Duncan? He doesn't. They go up to the top side of the racetrack. Want to get that lead back, especially for the 9, who led until the first set of pit stops. It is a one-stop race from here on out. As Duncan and Douglas try to get something going. Up with the 29, that puts Duncan up to 4th. Stenson wanted to go, he's gonna get shuffled out. He's in the sucker hole, 3 wide, and that puts him all the way back to 6th. Excuse me, puts him all the way back to 7th. Now gets back up to 6th in the pass, as the 11 and 9 could not find anything, trying to get up on the high side. Let's see if they force Stenso back a spot once again. They continue to work together, and now we see Lambert and Bowdoin make their way into pit road. Now another driver goes on up. Chris Davis wanting the race lead here at Daytona. He is up to Mark Jackson in the quarter panel. They nearly touch. Good bump drafting entering turn 3 for the outside. New leader, it's Chris Davis. That was a perfect move by the Mellow Yellow machine, as he timed that to perfection. That's the first green flag pass of the day to the lead that did not have to do with pit stops. But we may have another one. Casey Duncan wanting another lead change. That would be the second, but the teammates don't really have a lot of help together. And I don't think they're going anywhere. Oh, there they go! Oh, boy! Here we go. Trash heat. Joe Letourneau is involved. And there's the 05 of Alan Martin. And we have our second yellow of the evening. Tough break for Joe Letourneau, as he was a driver that got back up into the lead pack after being in the second pack for a majority of the race. And so because of that, he'll have to go to pit road. The window not open for drivers to make their final stops of the race. And there you see what happened, as that was Jackson that got loose. In that situation. Right on board with Alan Martin, as he was a part of that. In the middle of Joe Letourneau's spin. The fact that everyone else stayed in front is absolutely incredible. That was a big one. That was due up, and we did not get it. So, a couple of drivers coming in to top off on fuel. I would assume this would still be a one-stop race with about 10 laps to go. And you see Riley Duncan there topping off on fuel. Jordan Stenzel beats everyone out. So Chris Davis is the only one that came in. He was pretty much the odd man out in this situation because if he came in, everybody else was staying out, and then vice versa. So because of this, if this race does go green to the end, Davis has to make sure that he has a dance partner waiting for him. So we should have about 39 laps to go when we come back to green. So a couple more drivers coming in. Those are the lap cars. Should give us 10 drivers back on the lead lap. Don't know who our free pass car will be. If I were to guess, it would be Riley Lambert. We have him set as the guy on the tail end of the lead lap, and he is. Alec Bowdoin also had that yellow help him out. Shane Davis is the first driver a lap down. So Lambert and Bowdoin back on the lead lap after the start that they have had. In this series, by the way, if you're wondering what the rule is, the fuel limit is set at 70%. Drivers with 5 tire limits. And only 1 quick repair for the drivers. So let's reset the field as we come back to green. Only driver that did not come in was Chris Davis. He lines up next to Jordan Stenzel. Row number 2, Casey Duncan and Jeffrey Crosby Jr., who was rebounded after an early spin that did not bring a yellow out. Ryan Douglas and Pat Hernandez in row number 3. Mark Jackson and Matt Pelletier in row 4. Riley Lambert and Joe Letourneau round out the top 10. So 39 laps to go when we come back to the green flag here at Daytona. Davids brings them down. Stenzel should come down. Keeps it back up. Crosby gets a good restart out of that from being stuck on the outside, drops down. That puts Duncan back to 4th, and he's got his teammate behind him in Ryan Douglas. And he wants to go upstairs. They're looking for the lead. Crosby wants to go forward too. Battle for the lead starting to shape up. And he's got to run. Chris Davis does not have the push he needs from Stenzel. A Crosby is out front, new leader. Now let's see if Duncan and Douglas go. Yes, they do. Duncan can't fake him out. And now it brings Pat Hernandez into this equation. The racing is starting to pick up here at the World Center of Racing. Crosby, though, can he cut on down with the help from Hernandez? Yes, he does, but leaves Hernandez swinging, and he's got some help from Pelletier in the 27. This is getting good at Daytona. The best racing we have seen so far today. By far in general. Oh, a toe down. Davis goes around. Yellow is out. And the man that stayed out will have to come in this time on our third caution of the race. A lot of damage to the mellow yellow machine, who was absolutely going to be a contender to win this one. Shane Davis receives the free pass here. And so under caution for the third time today. Let's get you the replay. He got hooked. Stenzel in the 83. Remember, those two faded back after they couldn't hold off Crosby. Man, that's a shot for you right there. This is on board. There's the hook. If you just looked instantly at that rear view mirror, you could see that hook coming. Let's go to Crosby Sr. here in this situation. Absolutely nowhere to go. You could see that car get airborne too. Roof flaps kept that car on all four wheels, luckily. I think, do we have something from Chris? Nope, we already talked about Chris Davis. Those were the only two involved as well. As more drivers come in to top off on fuel. Again, windows still not open. It'll be open at around lap 82. So as we wait here, let's listen to some radio chatter. If we have it.
Got a copy?
Hey Matt, I'm gonna restart on bottom flip stick.
All right, no worries, man. For that last incident, is anyone going to claim responsibility, or are we thinking it's a racing deal?
I would say it was a racing deal because the 29 checked up for the guy in front of him. I checked up for him. Someone got in the back of me, and then I spun the 29. So, Cordy in effect.
All right, 10-4, I appreciate it. We'll watch it again, but I'm sure it was just a racing deal. Appreciate it.
So one lap to green as some drivers again coming in to top off on fuel. And we're going to continue to say this once again. Nobody has enough to go the distance. We've got 35 laps to go. So you see Pat Hernandez and the MSI machine. I too have an MSI tower myself. Those babies are nearly indestructible. And I love it. So Hernandez and Matt Pelletier on row number 1. Row 2 is Jeff Crosby Jr. and Casey Duncan. Row 3, Ryan Douglas and Joe Letourneau. Row 4 is Jordan Stenzel and Chris Davis. And in row 5, Riley Lambert and Mark Jackson. I believe we'll have only 12 drivers on the lead lap, and we do. We'll let you listen to radio here on this restart as we've got 34 laps to go at Daytona. Double file off of turn number 2. Pelletier can't seem to get the run just yet. And now he could have it. Push coming from Casey Duncan while Crosby Jr. pushing the leader. Double file amongst the front 9 on the track. And Pelletier's got the run off of turn number 4.
I'm pitting in for a black flag, guys.
Even though Crosby Jr. has a big run. Davis is getting a black flag, by the way. On the track, that's Shane Davis in the 30. Pelletier led the lap at the start-finish line. We've got a new leader at Daytona, but that was only for a split second because Hernandez, the big push coming from Crosby Jr. Two packs currently at the moment. You've got that second pack in the background led by Riley Lambert along with Mark Jackson and Alec Boldoin. A couple of drivers that are the last cars on the lead lap and just playing it safe because the action's been getting rough and rowdy amongst the front pack. You nearly saw Jordan Stencel get turned off the front bumper of Joe Letourneau, who has been able to regain his ground after using a quick repair from the second caution in the race. Douglas and Duncan losing some time. Only drivers up on that outside as Pelletier has finally cleared on Patrick Hernandez. He leads at Daytona. Chris Davis trying to get something to work as well. There's that second pack led by Riley Lambert, and they've decided to keep things single file. Could allow them to close in. They've lost about 2.5 seconds at the moment. A little bit of side drafting amongst that pack as well. One of them, a part of that is, just trying to confirm here, that's not Ryan Douglas or Joe Letourneau. That's a lap car in Abro in the 20. Now, Abro is the first car a lap down. And Alan Martin's all the way back in the second pack. He just needs to make sure he's still in this first pack. Don't take any huge risks and try and make some moves. If I am Abro, just stay on that low line and you'll be good to go. Don't even try and battle anyone on track or take a risk up on that high side. Stay where you are on the bottom groove of this racetrack. See, Douglas and Duncan are still trying whatever it takes. Davis also wants to be a part of it too. You're on board with the 11 of Duncan. And that's the issue right there. You got drivers on different grooves by about half a groove, even a quarter of a groove. How much different that is, you can lose a lot of time on. There you see the two packs as they go down the super stretch. Pelletier continues to lead on Hernandez and Crosby Jr. There's a bump draft by Duncan. Almost too much of a bump draft. Got to be careful. Don't bump draft in the corners. And see, got that 9 just a bit sideways in the center of 3 and 4. And now another driver moves on up. Davis in the 29 up part of that move up. Another bump draft that comes there in that situation. And they lose a lot of time because of it. You've got Letourneau trying to bump draft Stencel as well. And now they're double file. And because of that, amongst the front because of a bunch row 4 and 5. Top 3 trying to pull away. Duncan and Douglas just have to reset. Oh my, oh my, oh my.
Oh gosh, I almost hit myself.
I almost got a heart attack too. That was close.
A little bit too colorful language coming from Jeff Crosby Jr., but hey, we completely understand, that's for sure. So it's single file amongst the first 8 drivers with Pelletier leading and Duncan in the caboose. And then you've got 8 drivers here as well with Riley Lambert leading. It's been a very quiet night for driver the number 50. He's gone a lap down as well, but has kept that nose clean on the AutoZone machine. And a driver that could be in contention to win by just only leading 1 lap perhaps. In some of these previous next-gen races, you've had drivers only leading a single-digit lap. If we look at, for example, Michael McDowell when he won in 2021, or Austin Dillon in 2018, Kurt Busch in 2017, they only led 1 lap. That's the most important lap to lead. However, though, with the next-gen car, last lap passes are definitely tougher than normal. And take a look at this, by the way. Riley Lambert and Mark Jackson have been able to merge with the first pack thanks to Davis. They caught a nice draft off of Davis, were able to swallow him up. Davis currently stuck in no man's land. And that moves the number 50 machine up into 8th. Now how much of a tow can he get off of Casey Douglas? Perhaps a speed of up to 200. Still stuck at 190 at the moment. Again, all the drivers still on track. 1 stop left to make. Many of them last pitted on lap 64 to 65 when the last yellow came out. Highest driver to have last pitted is Jordan Stenzel, currently in the 4th position, the 83. And then Riley Lambert in the 50, and they're blocking big time, and Lambert moves up to the outside. Stacking them up double file, while the top 5 trying to drive away with this show. Now what happens here? Can Lambert cut down, or does he want to keep working with the 1 of Jackson? They're in the same United Racing group, and now Letourneau gets the memo. He wants to be racing up there as well. Jamie Abro still 1 lap down. Just gotta keep that car in the low line. Again, don't take any big risks of racing up on the outside line, because then you got Justin Branham, who's a couple of rows back in that 16. Have to see what happens. Letourneau currently in 5th. 2/10 to go to get back up to that 83, and Jordan Stenzel. We got 24 laps to go. Again, latest drivers have last pitted on was lap 64. Many different strategies. The leader in Matt Pelletier, he last pitted on lap number 59. Here's the number the drivers have pitted on so far. Lot lap 59, some lap 64. So if you pit on lap 59, the window's open. You can pit probably around lap 88. But then if you're a driver, for example, that last pitted on lap 94, you're coming in with under 10 laps to go. But could we perhaps see the drivers that pitted on lap 64 play a game of chicken is the question. Perhaps take less fuel as long as you have the help. Try and keep your car in front and have a chance to win the race. That's been normal at super speedway races where you only need to take fuel. But at the same time, if you're trying to take less fuel, there is a big risk. And that's overtime. What if we get a green-white checkered? Will the drivers have enough fuel to go the distance? Letourneau's up there with Stenzel. Highside's got to run for 4th. Back on board with Lambert. Saw Abro get a little bit loose off of turn number 4. Nearly created a huge close call where we could have seen a big one. Letourneau as well, got to be careful too, as he's already used his quick repair from a yellow that came out earlier in the race, where he suffered heavy damage to the front end of the race car. Front 4 again, still trying to break away. Not a lot of help that came that time by for Letourneau. And Abro just trying to be a factor as well. And that's what Stenzel wants to see, Abro behind him. He's been really good in terms of help. Letourneau, he could try and cut underneath, but I think that Raiders machine wants the race lead. Patrick Hernandez, meanwhile, nearly got the 27 loose. And speaking of loose, the 9 of Ryan Douglas nearly got sideways as we've got 21 to go. And there they go. Big wreck. And we got one upside down. And that's the 05. Alan Martin, side over side. Justin Branham also involved. And so with 21 to go, the pit road strategy comes to an end. Everybody can come in and go the distance. There you see Martin taking a wild ride. The 20 of Jamie Abrell gets back on the lead lap. Here's what happened to bring out our 4th yellow of the day, or excuse me, 5th. There was the contact there, I think, was that Abrell? And I think it was, along with Douglas, but it all just piled up from behind. Let's take you from an aerial shot here. Give you a better angle of what happened. Watch the 20 come up. There it is. Just came up into Douglas and then comes down into... Yep, there he was. He did come down into Douglas. I think he came up into Jackson, and look at that 95 go for a wild ride, and Alan Martin. From Justin Branham's on board. That other driver was trying to get inside in the rear of the pack. I think that was Martin in the 05, but I may be wrong on that. Let's go from the yellow flag right there. That was not Martin. He was coming up on the high side, and look at that baby fly. Alan Martin, by the way, already with using the quick repair. I think that will be his race. Branham, I believe, still has one left, and everybody coming in. This is the race right here. Do you take fuel or do you take tires? Personally, I would take fuel. And there you see it. Matt Pelletier winning the race off of pit road. Just better by 0.6 on the pit road lane. Followed by Hernandez, and then Crosby, Stenzel, and Letourneau. Crosby, I believe, took 2 tires alongside Letourneau. Alec Beaudoin took 4 tires in that situation. I believe Abrell, even not being involved in that wreck, because he didn't spin out, I think he'll still be on the lead lap. But Abrell's got a lot of damage at the moment to repair. So, whew, now we've got a race. Nobody needs to worry about pit stops anymore. It's go big or go home right now for the drivers. All you just have to do is drive your race and take it to the checkered flag. Let's listen to radio communications, what drivers are saying.
How many cars are on the lead lap? 12 or 13?
Looks like 12.
Yeah, so essentially the way it works is if you are a lap down and you don't pit, you'll get waved around the pace car. Or if you're just a lucky dog, you'll get it, obviously. So, you know, it takes a little bit to update, but as of right now, there are 12 guys on the lead lap.
Just to confirm, Matt, you're going to think about them?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't call it out there. Yeah, I'm thinking about it.
10-4.
Just joking with you.
Make sure y'all are paying attention to the heads-up display and get where you need to get here. We're going to be going green this time.
Alrighty. So 17 laps to go when we take the green, and it's about to get good. Matt Pelletier and Patrick Hernandez, row 1. Jeff Crosby Jr. and Jordan Stenzel, row 2. Joe Laturner and Riley Lambert, row 3. Row 4, the teammates of Ryan Douglas and Casey Duncan. And in row 5, Alec Beaudoin, who's been quiet this entire race. And next to him should be the one of Mark Jackson. But field's not tightened up, though. That's the issue. iRacing pace car is in. 17 laps to go. At this point on, you are not, on these restarts, you are not worrying if you want to try and cut down or not. If you've got help, you're using it. The intensity in this race has been notched up another level as we're racing to the finish. And there they go again. Casey Duncan goes around. No caution, though. We stay green. He spun below the double yellow line. And again, we stay green. No caution as we come to 16 to go. Crosby Jr. giving the good old push. The pack, though, has been split up into two because of the two. Here goes Crosby Jr. to the outside for the lead. New leader, the Miller High Life 33. And he's about to get swallowed in the sucker hole. 3 wide for the top spot. What a run from Pat Hernandez, top shelf, where Mama hides the cookies. Jordan Stenzel getting drafting help. Hernandez can clear down low if he wants to. He's not gonna. He wants to battle for this race lead. Stenzel now in the highest position he's been in so far today. That does not have to do with pit road cycles and leaves Crosby Jr. out to dry. So 2 packs. You've got this one led by Hernandez with drivers trying to make their way all the way up as they can. And then a second pack led by Chris Davis. Actually, correction, that's not led by Davis. That is led by a bro in the number 20 who is still a lap down. Did not receive the free pass. But they are not double file, they're single file. Matt Pelletier back out to the point. Nice push for Crosby Jr. and he cuts it down low. The drivers are racing like it's for the win at the moment. But there's only 15 laps to go here at Daytona. Pelletier cuts it down low. That leaves Douglas out to dry in 3rd position. Again, he's yet to lead since lap number 25 when we had the first round of green flag pit stops. As he tries to side draft off of Stenzel. 14 to go at the World Center of Racing. Check back in on that second pack. Davis is the first driver on the lead lap in that second pack, and they're double file. Not what they want. They're 3.7 seconds behind the race leader. Riley Lambert now mentioned, yeah, he's also a part of this pack in the highest position he's been in today in 5th. Bump draft coming from Crosby. Then you see the grill off the 27. Should be off the 33, pushing the 27. Davis trying to get a run. Douglas trying to get a run, excuse me. And a nice slingshot move on Joe Letourneau to get up to 6th. Focus our eyes back on that second pack. First car lap down is still Abrell. And that is a battle as well for a lucky dog spot because Justin Branham in the Jordan 16 is on the tail. Pelletier.
2 green-white checkered attempts in this race.
Oh boy, don't get us started there, Pelletier. Mentioning those. Now you got drivers amping it up another level if we get overtime. 12 to go. We've got Zach the Workman watching. Welcome, sir. Rooting for the Crosbys. Juniors in 2nd, seniors in 9th with 12 laps to go. And that's the battle for 9th on track between Jackson and Crosby. Now this would be 8 drivers in this line if they can get single file. But I don't see that happening, yet they're still losing time, down 5.7 seconds to the lead pack. But now with 11 laps to go at the line, we've got a train of 7. Who makes the move? And who do you go with? Stephen Wolfram in pit road, never mind on that. Friends are where you find them, pretty much. For the rest of this race, unless we get a caution flag. And there's a good chance that we will.
I don't want any chance of this at all.
Davis talking on the radio. We came in late on that. I think he's telling, hey, let's go single file here. There's a lot of chance that getting back up there with the lead pack. That's going to be tough. Look at how loose the drivers are getting in that second pack with 10 laps to go. Mark Jackson now trying to lead the second pack and move his drivers to the front.
Say hi.
A couple of drivers as well have also lost time. That's Letourneau and Douglas because they were going side by side.
Thank you.
And now they're likely going to need a caution because they were slingshotting each other. And that's allowed the top 5 to pull away. In the single digits this time by 9 laps to go at the World Center of Racing. Pelletier has led the most laps so far in this race. If not the second most laps. Again, if you lead the most laps, you will get 5 bonus points. Just leading a lap, though, gets you a bonus point. Crosby and Hernandez thinking about it. Hernandez tucked out of line for just a moment. But he seemed to not get a drafting partner. Don't think Crosby really wanted to go. They were just trying to fake it. Chris Davis off track of the 29. He's gone around in turn 3. No caution. We stay under the green flag. So back-to-back spins have gone down the super stretch. In the area, 8 laps to go. Riley Lambert's starting to lose the pack. Hernandez wants to go up to the outside. Matt Pelletier, though, currently a sitting duck. When do the drivers behind them make their move, and do we see a slingshot coming to the checkered flag? Do we see drivers perhaps laying back? Crosby Jr. with the bump draft. This could accordion the field. Jr. faked the slingshot up to the outside. Alex Baudoin goes a lap down. That's not at all what the guys like Casey Duncan, Justin Branham wanted if a yellow comes out right now. 7 laps left in the season opener at Daytona with the next gens.
Sorry, man. Was that you I got?
Duncan's off the pace in the 11.
Casey, was that you I clipped?
And I mean way off the pace. He's got big damage to the 11. But we're focused on the race up to the front. You've got 2 Chevys, you got 3 Chevys, excuse me, a Toyota and a Ford. Taking a look at the team chats at the moment. Pelletier, of course, working with Riley Lambert, but they're on opposite ends of this lead line. And then taking a look here, Stenzel and Hernandez are racing each other. Jeff Crosby Jr. could be in no man's land with no teammate to work with him. Could we see teammates be a factor? I think you could see Hernandez and Stenzel because they're right next to each other, working to try and go for this win. There's another bump draft from Crosby to Pelletier. Not what really Hernandez wants to see, but there's a lot of time left in this race. Casey Duncan, by the way, in the pits, and that likely is his race. 5 laps to go. Been an incredible 95 laps we've seen so far, including a caution-free first half. What is going to happen in the final 5 of this one? Do they go scot-free to the finish line? Do we have overtime? And who makes the first move? Who takes the big risk amongst the front 5 is the question. The second pack here, Joe Letourneau, Ryan Douglas, and then Mark Jackson, Sr. and Davis will need a yellow if they want to have their ships turn around. Could lap traffic as well be a factor? The bump draft to Crosby. How's it look in front of Pelletier? There is 1 car ahead, 2 cars ahead with 4 laps to go. Could that be an issue? Will Pelletier tell them we're racing for the win? Lambert may lose some time. He's trying to fade back in case he wants to try and make a move. What do Hernandez and Stenzel, the teammates in the HS camp, what do they do? You know they're going to work together. Hernandez trying to fade back on Crosby to see if he can get a run and pull up to the outside. Have to get by Shane Davis first. 3 to go. So they all get by Davis. Let's watch down the super stretch if Hernandez and Stenzel make a move. They're thinking about it. They're thinking about it. They're thinking as well maybe what Riley Lambert wants to do. Crosby continues to push Pelletier. Is he going to keep pushing him until coming off turn 4 when he goes for the slingshot on the final lap? Or do we see some defense from Matt Pelletier? Drivers trying to fake their line, trying to pick their line. Popsicles are up, 2 laps left. That's Crosby behind. And he's laying back. Pelletier stuck in full throttle. Nothing he can do about it. Crosby's trying to make this move. Hernandez trying to make the move. Look at the rearview mirror. He's pulling up to the outside. Tries to block. Big blocks all over the place. We're battling for the win. Crosby down low. Pelletier gets sucked out of it. Jeffrey Crosby takes the lead at Daytona. But now Hernandez and Stenzel, 2nd and 3rd, they are teammates. Riley Lambert moves up to 4th. 5 cars have a chance to win it. White flags in the air, 2.5 miles remain. at the World Center of Racing. Crosby Jr. leads at the white flag. Who leads at the next one? Lambert goes high. He's got Pelletier working with him. Hernandez thinks about going high, leaving Stenzel in the dust. The big block from Crosby. He's got no help except for Stenzel. Hernandez on the outside. Patrick Hernandez takes the lead at Daytona. Half a lap to go. Lambert to the inside. He gets blocked by Hernandez. He goes the other way. Side by side at a return 3. Pelletier goes with Hernandez. Lambert with no help except for the lap car of Davis. 1 mile from home. Hernandez and Lambert side by side. Gonna duke it out to the finish line. Checkered flags in the air. Riley Lambert versus Hernandez to the line. Lambert wins. Riley Lambert gets the win on a last lap pass. Riley Lambert gets it done. He only led 1 lap. Riley Lambert. The strategy paid off perfectly. We've been talking about it from lap 1. Could he just stay in the back and move up to the front to win? The answer is yes.
Alrighty, everybody. That was a hell of a finish. I appreciate y'all keeping it clean.
What a race at the end amongst the top 5. It was Lambert, Hernandez, Crosby, Pelletier, then Stenzel, but it's Riley Lambert that gets to light them up. And we're about to talk with your top 3. Riley Lambert about to do a burnout for the show, for the fans. How about that for a view? Unofficially, the margin is 5/100ths of a second. And let's take you back from the white flag to show you how Lambert got that done. The white flag, he is running in the 4th position. Pelletier giving him a push to get by Stenzel. Hernandez realizes I can't go with my teammate. If I go with my teammate, I lose the race. There goes Hernandez up to the outside. Now Crosby Jr. stuck in no man's land. Now he falls back. And then watch Lambert. Goes low. Fakes him out. And then here's the perfect part here for Lambert. He's got help from that 29. And then there's the side draft from the 50. Davis gets closer and closer. Lambert's the only guy on the high side amongst the leaders. And it just works out perfectly for him. That's all he needed off turn 4. He knew he had it won. So let's start here by talking with your top 3. Beginning things off here with Jeff Crosby Jr. Jeff, you were leading at the white flag. Just from your perspective, just how it went down on your end. I know you got shuffled back there coming off of turn 2.
Yeah, I just kind of got unlucky with the lines there. These cars are really, really tough to draft in, and just kind of got in the wrong line, and I'm just thankful I was able to get a P3 out of it.
Did you happen to believe as well that you were perhaps a sitting duck coming to the end, being the leader at the white?
Oh yeah, for sure, sitting duck. You definitely don't want to be the only car. Everybody was on the high side, so I was like, well, shoot. But I'm glad I was able to get a little shove at the end. I don't know who that was, but was able to push it 3 wide at the finish and cross it before Matt. So
who do you want to give shout-outs to on your run?
Definitely want to give a shout-out to you for broadcasting this. It's pretty cool. Riley and Matt, and definitely want to give a shout-out to my dad. He's racing in our senior and junior motorsports. So hopefully we can continue having some good races and be excited for next week.
I appreciate the time. Great run.
Thank you.
Third place finish, Jeff Crosby Jr. Let's go to our second place finisher. Second place finisher is Pat Hernandez. Patrick, that was a wild final lap. Just take us through that lap off of turn 2 from your perspective.
Man, I don't know. I was trying to prep the path for the lead. Then on the backstretch, I tried to pick to see if there were any lap cars, just in case. I don't want to cause a wreck. In the back, then the 27 move up, and then I move out. I move down. We pass him, and then I tried to take out the lead, which I successfully did. But then, man, on turn 4, I was a sitting duck. The high line was coming with all fours like a freight train. I tried my best, but nice race, nice effort. Thanks to my teammate Jordan Stencil that gave me some nice push in there. He tried his best, but was not enough for the win. But second place, I'm happy about it. So we move on for next race, trying to get the win.
Absolutely. Were you thinking about side drafting off of turn 4, being side by side with Lambert, or did you think that wasn't going to be the difference?
I might try the side draft, but I was afraid that we might try the same thing together, and we collide and made a big mess. So on that point, I decided to play it safe. Keep the space and take home a second place.
Appreciate your time. Great job tonight.
Thank you, man.
Now let's go to victory lane and talk with your race winner, Riley Lambert in the 50. Riley, you only led one lap in that race. Just take us through how you did it at the white flag, starting from 4th.
Yeah, starting from 4th there, my teammate, he was kind of telling me, he had kind of got kicked out of the line and the coming to the white. And so we kind of, he was like, you know what, go for it, man. Because at that point, I was just kind of settling for 5th. And I went to the outside, and he pushed me. And going down the back, I think the 19 hopped up in front of me. So I pushed him and then kind of did the crossover down the back straightaway. He took the bottom, and I'm pretty sure there was 3 or 4 cars on the bottom and only 1 or 2 of us up top. And I couldn't tell you how we got that, got the lead coming out of 4. I don't know how close it was, but man, this is crazy. I never won a super speedway race before, so this is pretty awesome.
Entering turn number 3. All of the lead lap cars are on the bottom. You're up top going side by side. Davis was a little bit far out when you think of it when it comes to the drafting with the next gens. Was there any concern that you thought you had that race lost?
Honestly, I was expecting to finish 4th or 5th there, but coming out of, I thought maybe the bottom lane was going to pull me and I'd finish 2nd or 3rd, but I'm not sure what happened to Patrick. I think maybe, that bottom lane broke up a little bit coming out of 4, and I was holding it up there. I was hoping they wouldn't wreck me. I wasn't going to come down and touch them because we were running pretty clean there, but man, that was crazy. I don't know what to say.
Well, next week we've got the Gen 6 cars at Atlanta. I believe it's still the old school Atlanta before the repave. Just give us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, old Atlanta. It'll be in the old Gen 6 Monster Energy Cup Series cars. Yeah, that'll be a crazy one. I think it'll be a longer race. I think it'll be more in the springtime kind of thing. So not a summertime track. So the track shouldn't be too hot and greasy. So I'm hoping the tires will last a little bit there. I think it's 140 laps. So a decent little race there. I'd like to finish top 10 there. There's a decent amount of cars in the field tonight. A couple of guys had damage there at the end, wasn't able to keep up speed-wise, but Atlanta should even the playing field a little bit, and should be a fun one.
Who do you want to give shout-outs to on the run tonight?
Shout out to my teammate Matt, because if he was, honestly, I thought he was going to lead the whole thing, lead to the end. I'm not sure what happened there. I'm sure you've seen. He ended up in the middle lane coming down the back straightaway. coming to get the white flag, and he kind of was like, "Well, that goes my race." He's like, "Well, go ahead and you go get it." I was like, "Okay," and so a big shout out to him. My other two teammates, Mark, he was in there. He got a little unlucky. He got a little bit of damage, and then my other teammate Alec there, he had damage nearly the whole race and wasn't able to get it fixed. But great team win. I can't believe I'm actually sitting here in victory lane.
Well, enjoy this one. Congratulations on a great run tonight.
Thank you.
Riley Lambert takes home the win in the season opener for the Hoosier Racing League at Daytona International Speedway. Give you our official race results from tonight. Lambert with the win by 5.6 thousandths of a second, 56 thousandths of a second, I should say. Jeff Crosby Jr. third, Matt Pelletier fourth, Jordan Stencel in fifth. Only 9 drivers finishing on the lead lap, and that is how they looked from tonight. What a race and what a way to start the season. Only 50 green flag laps to begin this race. The first half completely green. In the second half of this race, we saw a couple of cautions, but the racing got really good at the end. And then all those spins that kept the race green really split the pack up and turned us down to 5 drivers to determine who would win this race. So that will do it for us here on our broadcast. On behalf of everyone at Hoosier Racing League, from Matt Pelletier to Riley Lambert, I'm Marty Sakala signing things off. We congratulate Riley Lambert as he takes home the race win at the Daytona International Speedway. Thank you all for joining us tonight. So long from the World Center of Racing.